Everybody. This is Batch Bros Live. This is the episode 2 recap of Bachelor in Paradise. As always, I'm the Han Factor, and I am joined by my normal co-host here. I've got Josh Tasty Kebab. Josh, why don't you say hi to the people?
Hi, people. I'm back.
And I just want to start this out by saying that this was Monday night's episode was a rather fun one for me. It was drama packed and it left nothing to be desired in my head. But yeah, we'll kind of get into it. But yeah, I mean, Josh, just initial impressions of the episode. Did you like this one or did you hate it?
Oh yeah, I definitely liked it. I think this is what I was expecting getting in. All that exposition we had last week really got some payoff.
Yeah.
So
The first
there's a lot to talk about.
in the first episode, I mean, we just had so much build up and so many people that had to be introduced that I feel like it just kind of got lost in the shuffle. But this episode, I felt like was very streamlined. We got the drama that we needed. We got to see some of these interpersonal relationships blossom and in some cases explode, and it was great. So and taking a look at this episode, it starts out with kind of the cliffhanger to episode 1, which is Demi coming down the stairs. Demi, she meets who she refers to as Joe Dirt, the love of my life, David Spade, and and gets a date card and goes down and starts talking to people and feeling out the crowd and figuring out who does she want to go on a date with, right? So, she starts talking to Connor for a little bit. She starts talking to Kenny for a little bit, and then she finally talks to Brendan for a bit. And when push comes to shove, she decides to go on a date with Brendan, of all people. Josh, are you surprised?
You know, in like the sense of, is Brendan hot? No, not at all. Like Brendan's so hot, of course. Yeah, Demi's interested, but I don't think she knows enough about his personality or vice versa.
Well,
And as we see in the date, she gets a little blindsided with his level of interest in her. I think he's kind of just like, yeah, she's hot. Maybe we can make out, and if we click, cool. But if not, I just went out with a really hot girl. Not that like anybody else there isn't like basically on the same
extremely
level.
attractive. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
we sit here and we talk about this, but like, there's not like anybody out there that I'm like, oh wow, they're hideous. Like, why would anybody want to hang out with them?
Right, they're on the show for a reason.
Yeah, like it's kind of a given to a certain extent, right? So it's not surprising that that these people are like they're choosing between people that they just otherwise would find attractive, but most of the general population would, I would think, at least. But yeah, I mean, I think that of what we've seen from Demi, because she's no stranger around here, is that I cannot say that I'm surprised that she chose to go on a date with Brendan. And I think the date more or less went more how I thought it would, right? Like, not well. So, I think that, like, my next question for you, Josh, is that, are you excited to see Demi on the beach, or are you kind of horrified? Because I'll give you my initial impression. It's like, I think Demi is great for some one-liners. I think she's entertaining. She's good to watch. But I also find her highly annoying. And I cannot get past that a lot of times. And it's very petty things, too. It's like, the way she laughs, I find irritating. But some of the things she says, too, I think aren't always the most sincere, and I also find that irritating. But, yeah, I can't deny that she's funny and entertaining. But, yeah, what are your thoughts of Demi?
Yeah, I was going to say, high entertainment value with Demi. I didn't actually watch Colton's season that intently to, like, remember her from that, but I know that she's been a character they've brought back a few times in the main series.
Yeah.
Even. And I didn't see her in Paradise before, obviously, either. I was wondering if you had any recollections of her time there.
Oh yeah, it was very.
She ended up engaged. What?
Yeah.
Like, what was the deal?
So
exactly, did you have hope for her
at
the time, or was it like, this is purely for the show they're not gonna last 2 months in the real world.
Oh, so just to kind of give you a heads up on kind of the history of Demi with Bachelor in Paradise, she was on the last season of Bachelor in Paradise, was briefly dating a guy named Derek, who I don't remember what season he's from, but it was a couple, I think it may have been JoJo's, if I remember. But they were together, and there was kind of a big storyline around Demi where she was like, actually, I can't seem to break the thought of this girl that I'm dating back home. Like, I don't think that I can give you myself because I'm kind of in a relationship with this one girl back home, essentially. And she was like, I was worried about being judged because obviously I'm not in a heteronormative relationship. And that was kind of the storyline. So they brought her girlfriend onto the show, and Demi ends up getting engaged to the girl. Derek falls to the wayside, eventually leaves Paradise. And then they last for maybe 2 months, and then they break up. They don't last very long, from what I remember.
Interesting.
But
okay.
it's interesting, right? Because a lot of Demi's gripes, I think, from this episode come from you shouldn't be on the show if you have somebody that you're holding out for, or whether if you're seeing somebody back home,
very
which
ironic
is
given that situation.
Which is complete bullshit. It's what I'll say.
No self-awareness here.
Yeah, there's a complete lack of self-awareness there. But yeah, like I said, we can talk about that later. But yeah, so that was kind of Demi's story. So when she hits the beach, I'm only thinking to myself, I was like, I don't think Demi finds love on this show. I think that she likes being on television and likes the opportunity to maybe make out with other hot people, which I can't blame her there. But yeah, I didn't think that she was a sincere contender to find love on the beach when I saw her walk on with a date card. 0 out of 10.
She more or less says as she comes in that
Mhm.
she's here to fuck shit up, right?
Yeah,
It's not.
it was dramatic
It's not
to
like,
begin
oh
with.
yes, I know that my future husband is on this beach.
Mhm.
It's, oh yeah, let's start some shit.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a crazy time.
Well, obviously, I'm a little protective of Connor, at least the character that we've been shown with Connor. So when she went and talked to Connor, I was like, leave that precious soul alone. Don't you dare fuck up Connor. And then
Yeah, so
and then
wrote
Kenny,
down
I was
that-
like, whatever. Brendan, I was like, whatever. You can mess them up. I don't really care about them so much. But go ahead.
Connor, I wrote that he's definitely way too innocent for Demi.
Oh, I think that she would ruin him.
She would ruin a lot of us.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I wanted to get your thoughts on the kind of flirting that goes on between Demi and Connor actually too.
Mm-hmm.
I took some notes before we just jumped in. You went in pretty deep here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Back.
You can rein me back in.
Floor.
So
Demi's or Connor talks about how he wore a cat costume and
oh, she goes, I have 7 cats.
Asked Demi about liking cats. She's like, oh yeah, I have 7 cats.
Yeah.
Connor's just dumbfounded, oh my god, this girl has 7 cats.
That's
it's
a lot.
Oh no, I actually just have 3. So I was wondering if you were taking notes there, wanting to maybe use that one in the future.
Should I steal my pickup lines from Bachelor in Paradise?
And then lower, once they're oh yeah, Lewis, you only have 1 cat, or if you end up getting Odin a sibling, 2 cats. That's fine. It doesn't seem like you're obsessed at all at that point.
Saying 7 and going to 3, I think is clever. Saying 3 and then going to 1 just seems kind of lame. So I don't think I would use that in the future.
I think you'd have to go bigger. So.
Yeah, I mean, I need to acquire more cats in order to make that line actually work. So I'll keep it in my back pocket there, Josh, for later, because I did think it was clever, don't get me wrong, but it only really works if I think you have at least 3 cats, and I'm not getting 3 cats at the moment.
All right, fair enough.
But yeah, I mean,
so next she goes and talks to Kenny, and I agreed that it's Kenny. I'm not really concerned about him in the same way as I would be with Connor. Thinking that they're more the same speed. But I guess Demi didn't really have any interest, because not only did she not choose him, to go on the one-on-one, she also doesn't ever like go back to try to like wedge her way in there after the date with Brendan doesn't really go well.
I think
So
her initial thought
that
was
must have
like,
happened there. She's just like, he's hot, but
yeah,
not
I would think that Demi doesn't necessarily know these three guys. I don't think, at least from what Brendan says on their date, it doesn't seem like she knows him at all. So I don't think she. One sec, we gotta give the cat some love actually, because he's in need of some attention. But yeah, I don't think she actually knows any of these guys. Has never really met them or talked to them before in person. So I thought to myself, she's gonna pick
yeah. I
three
think
guys
I
that she
heard
is
somewhere that she
physically.
didn't even watch the season.
But that's she's also tweeted about it before though. So like I
Okay.
saw that on Instagram later where she has tweeted about like live tweeted parts of Tasha's season. So I don't know where this whole
Oh,
like
I don't know that.
I've never watched it thing came from. Maybe she didn't watch it and like she probably like just caught an episode here or there. Like maybe wasn't intensely watching it, but you know, it make up your own mind, you know? Like you tell me what actually happened. But yeah, I think she picked three guys that she was physically attracted to, wanted to feel them out. Didn't really know any of them. I really don't think she knew any of them. And
I'm guessing that she probably knew Connor by reputation at that point and
mhm,
wanted to go and make a move to see what the deal was.
mhm.
But with Brendan and Kenny, those were probably more just like, okay, these guys are really hot.
Yep.
There were some other things that you skipped over that I wanted to touch up on
Mhm.
too, because even before that, you get the actual intro to this
Oh.
episode.
Yeah, you
We're
finally
playing
get
the theme
the
song, and we get everybody's super cheesy like intro shot.
yeah. Whose did you like?
So
Whose didn't
I
you
was
like?
sitting there laughing.
uh
Honestly, I didn't take that good a note.
yeah,
I will keep track of that next time, and we can talk about the best intro.
yeah, we'll
But
see.
I,
The
I, I was just laughing at it, so
yeah,
I
I didn't
I
realize that
figured
that
you
was
were
the
excited
first
to hear
time.
your song again too.
Yeah, it's almost paradise. We're knocking on heaven's door. I hadn't even really considered the fact that we didn't get that last week because of the way that the show kind of went in. But yeah, this is the first time that we've seen it on this season. It's incredibly cheesy, and I love it because it's just fucking cheesy, and that's what I want to see. But like, it's it's funny, you know, it's campy. It is what it is. I didn't really have much to talk about, so I was like, okay, well, we'll just see how this goes. Obviously, as we add more people to the beach, I'm interested to see what they kind of choose to show about them. But
So then the other bit that I had here before they got into Demi was they have a little glimpse of Tammy and Aaron talking,
mhm,
and Tammy's like, "Oh, yeah, we're on the same page, right?"
mhm.
And Aaron's just like, "Yeah, sure." Fairly dismissively, I thought. And I was just like, "Oh, is this setting up drama for later in the episode?"
I thought, well, she follows that up with, "I really like you. You know that, right?" And then it was, I don't know that it really got met with a whole lot of
Much reciprocation.
yeah, I don't know that it really got met with a whole lot of like affirmation.
Reassurance.
That yeah, reassurance affirmation. So yeah, and I think I said last week too, I don't really have a whole lot of faith in that relationship moving forward.
Oh,
I
absolutely not.
I think
But
it'll
I just thought it was funny that we got this little tease of it, and I was really curious to
it'll
see where it was going to be
it'll
going.
crumble to the ground. Just give it time. So but we'll see. um yeah, so the and I think it just pretty much cuts to Demi's date, right? Like that's the next big thing in the episode.
Yeah. So also, I guess when she is scouting out Brendan,
Mm-hmm. She pretty much
she's
asked
like,
him, "Hey, do you want to fuck?"
yeah, a little
Like
bit,
there
and
wasn't a whole lot else to it.
with
Like
all the flirting and stuff too, she's asking, or like she's just like saying all these like kind, flirty,
mm-hmm.
sweet, sweet quote unquote things to him, and Brendan's just like, "Oh, stop it, stop it."
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, is this him like playing along, or is he actually asking her to stop it because he's uncomfortable?
I don't think he really likes her. I think we find that out rather quickly that he's like not
Yeah,
like super
definitely. He's
vibing.
like, oh, let's have fun on this one-on-one.
Yeah.
Uh, and then maybe we'll make out or something.
Well,
But I'm gonna keep my options open unless you just do something that blows me
me
off
away.
my
Set my soul on
comfort zone
fire, I
or
think
something.
is what he said.
Yeah,
She
yeah,
didn't set my soul
exactly.
on fire. And I was like, okay, well, that seems like kind of high expectations for a one on date that is filmed by a million camera people. But okay. um, yeah, so they get to jet
So then
ski.
well, before that even, I have another thing too.
Uh huh.
Gotta slow down. Just tearing through this for me. Um, so I thought that Natasha made an excellent face when Demi comes back after talking to the three men and
Mm
decides that Brendan is the one that she wants to ask out. And Brendan says, I'd love to.
hmm. Mm hmm.
So her face then was just gold. And then I was thinking, man, I really hope she has more self-respect than to try to go talk to Carl while Brendan is on this
Oh
date.
God, no!
This,
The entire time I was like, is somebody gonna take a rose from Carl, or are they just gonna say, screw it, I'm out. It's not worth
I'm
it.
good.
Yeah, which we find out the answer to that later. But I would not have been surprised. I was like, man, Carl just gives me weird vibes. Like, he just seems creepy as hell. And I don't know the guy, of course, but it just that something seems wrong, and I would not have been particularly surprised based off what is shown on the TV that if somebody was just like, nah, I'm good, I'm just gonna go home. But we'll see. Like I said, we'll kind of get to that later. But
Yeah, so with the attitude, like just that uh Brendan had towards the date initially, and
mm,
then uh how Natasha reacted, I wasn't I wasn't so sure that she felt confidence in the relationship to be like, yeah, Brendan's going because he was asked, but there's not anything that's gonna happen there. I think she was like legitimately concerned that Demi was gonna come in and steal her man.
I mean, I don't think Natasha and Brendan have that great of a connection to begin with.
I don't think it's that great from what I've seen, but
Yeah,
definitely like in her reaction to it, you could see that.
I.
And that's again why I was like, okay, please, like, please don't go to Carl there.
Oh no,
I think
Natasha.
he's like, there's the one guy that was like really in question, I think, for who they might be with. I think him and James at that point, we didn't really see anything of last week.
Yeah, we didn't really know who either of them were particularly vibing with last week, and that was kind of a mystery to be unfolded this episode of who they would eventually give their roses to, and maybe who they um, actually had any sort of connection with. But yeah, I mean, I don't think that Natasha and Brendan's relationship seems that strong to me, and if I were in Natasha's position, I probably would not feel very confident about Brendan going on a date with Demi either. And I think that she kind of confirmed our suspicions with the way that she reacted. My suspicions, not our suspicions, but yeah.
Yeah.
So
No,
that's kind of my
I
take.
agree with you.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, like, and I mean, I don't have anything else to add up until like Demi's one-on-one with Brendan.
Yeah.
So
We can get into that.
yeah, so I mean, fun date overall, right? Like jet skis, like who doesn't want to do that? Like that's fun. They don't really show a whole lot of it, and then it just kind of dives into the conversation they had, and that's kind of what I want to jump to because it's like, yeah, okay, they went jet skiing, like we all know, like that's probably fun, whatever, blah blah blah.
I do have one question for you before that.
Go ahead.
Um, which which do you think is a higher pitch noise?
The jet ski or
Demi
Demi's laugh?
laughing or a dolphin?
I don't know. I think that I would not be able to
Her
handle
like
either of
laugh
them.
scream on there like left my ears ringing.
Yeah, it's something that like I don't know. I cannot vibe. I Demi's had her time in the limelight, and I'm kind of over it. And seeing her on again, I didn't feel like I needed to. That's it. That's just how I feel. Like, I think she's funny. She had great one-liners this episode, and like I said, we'll talk about some of those too. But overall, I'm just like, okay, I'm very done. Like, I've seen enough. So, but I mean, their conversation, Josh, it goes from like normal makeout to very awkward very fast. It doesn't take long from what they show, because I mean, Demi's just like, yeah, like, we're doing great, like, you and I in it for the long haul. And he was like, whoa, whoa, whoa there. I think we should, like, still see other people. And I think Demi gets the hard, like, do not pass go, do not collect $200, go straight to jail card from, I mean, Brendan just sends Demi straight to horny jail. You know, bonk. There's no coming back from that. Like, if I was sitting there and somebody told me that, I'd be like, okay, this is done. Like, there is no chance this, like, works out, if that is kind of the response I get.
I mean, I'm just normally assuming that's the response anyway. Like,
what, to you, if you were in this situation? Yeah. Okay, got it.
But, you know, Demi's got to know she's on this show. Like, that's how it works. Like, you talk to other people. Brendan was talking to someone before she got there. And maybe if she played it more cool, she would have had a chance to actually, like, still win him over from Natasha, since, as we agreed, their relationship isn't, like, the most confident looking thing. So if she could just handle this gracefully, even in the slightest, like, there might have been a chance that she could get a rose from him still.
I don't think that...
Yeah, she just cannot.
I think that was handled... I mean, I don't think I would have handled it well either, to be fair, but it was handled poorly, certainly.
It was not the worst possible way.
I mean, she got kind of friend-zoned, if that... I don't really believe in the whole, like, friend-zone shit, whatever, but, you know, and the... And the response, I mean, she just kind of explodes, right? Like, she hits the self-destruct button. You know, her quote at the end of the date.
Nuclear meltdown.
Yeah, her quote at the end of the date was like, I was essentially like, I don't get rejected by men except for Colton, and you know, he turned out to be gay, so that doesn't count, at least from Demi's perspective. So I mean, once again, it must be nice to just be so hot that you don't, like, normally get rejected or anything, but she did not handle... I know, right? She did not handle it well at all. Like, it just... you said it, full nuclear meltdown, and that's what we kind of witnessed. And it only gets worse when they get back to the beach, because before they get back, there's a lot of grumbling that Brendan is actually waiting for Piper to hit the beach. And lo and behold, Demi gets
not just that, but they had been talking for a couple months outside.
Well, I like the quote. The quote that I wrote down was, "They were seen together." I was like, so? I was like, think about all the people you could be like, what does that mean? You can't just say they were seen together, right? Like, I was seen together with a million people. Like, if you see me in the same scene as somebody, then sure, you were seen together, but I'm
Katie
sure...
was seen getting lunch with a guy that was on early in her season. Like, spoiler alert, she got engaged to Blake.
Yeah.
It means nothing. You could have, like, some other relationship. It's easy to talk about your experience and stuff.
Yeah, and...
Might have a crush on her, but...
And things just kind of...
He's there.
I mean, the way that word traveled on that beach, too, I mean, I get that you have nothing else to talk about, but it did not take long from person A to person, I guess, Z, to get the memo that Brendan is holding out for Piper without even a whisper to him that these conversations are happening. And Demi is
basically happened while he is on the date.
Right? I know. Well, yeah, because Demi gets back to the beach first.
Demi gets back first, but... Like, they're both gone a long-ass time.
Yep.
From, like, where the sun was at during the meltdown to being completely blackout when he's there.
Yeah,
I don't know what happened in the rest of that date. That was a little weird. Maybe they just went back to their rooms and took care of shit.
yeah.
But...
That's a good question. I don't think they were just like, okay, well, this isn't going well. Like, I
yeah,
mean,
by the time
obviously,
they're back, basically everybody is aware of this.
yeah, and they strategically let Demi back on the beach first, and they have to tell Demi, it's like, hey, Brendan's actually waiting for Piper, and Demi's like, well, that makes a lot of sense, like, and kind of gives the whole line of,
Well, she's using that to rationalize it
yeah,
in her mind, but that rejection probably would have come anyway.
yeah, I think so too, and I think that kind of goes to show that she just the lack
Maybe
of
a little self-involved.
well, yeah, and there was a lack of self-awareness there with the whole like you shouldn't come to paradise if you've got somebody back home, knowing that I mean
Right.
that's what she did that like not even 2 years ago when we saw it, the entirety of America saw it on the television, so it's just not a good look. So but you know they get back, and that's kind of it. Eventually, it gets back to a conversation between Natasha and Brendan, but that doesn't happen for a little bit still. There's still quite a bit of episode before they kind of circle back to that. But it's not a good look overall. And, you know, that's it for their date. I mean, I don't really have anything else to add. I don't know about you, but that kind of sums it up.
I had one more thing.
Go ahead.
I wrote down that I'm not entirely sure if I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
But it was another note I had.
It's Batch Bros Live, so you can't take it back if you say it, Josh.
All right. Well, you know, I'll do it for the audience.
What on earth are you gonna say?
Sex with Demi has to be something else, right?
I mean, certainly she talks a big game.
Like on the crazy to like sex ability scale, I'm sure just like
Josh, I have
she's in
no
a corner
idea
of her own on that chart.
I have no idea. I couldn't venture to think that I would ever even have the opportunity to tell you. So this is
Well,
so
Demi,
out of
if
left
you're
field.
watching and you want us to find out.
I think that as it, because I've said such great things about it this episode already, but she's certainly hot. There's no doubt about that. She's good looking. I think that she is very confident in herself and her abilities, and I can't help but still find her annoying. So I don't know. So I think we're just gonna leave it at that and move on with the episode. But yeah, I mean, we get a brief glimpse of Ivan and Jasenia, and little fun snippets like Taj and Connor talking about puns, and that's kind of funny, but whoop-de-doo. But it really kind of gets to the girls who are starting to get nervous about getting a rose. You know, they're kind of talking about how Victoria P at this moment doesn't seem coupled up with anybody. Kelsey doesn't really seem to have somebody she's vibing with. Victoria L, Goddess Victoria, doesn't really have anybody she seems to be vibing with yet. And Serena C also, you know, these are kind of the outliers, quote unquote, of the episode, and the people that are nervous about getting a rose. And those are the four that they highlight, funny enough, right? But yeah, I mean, it's interesting, but that doesn't really last long, because the next scene is of Victoria P and James kind of getting their vibe on. And let's talk about them for a little bit, right? So Victoria P makes a lot of mentions about James, where she A, can't remember his name, and B, seems to be in it for the rose alone. Just kind of on her initial commentary when they first start showing them kind of vibing together. Josh, do you have any initial opinions on this Victoria P and James? I think what I really want to ask you is that, have you ever had a crush on somebody and not been able to remember their name?
No. I can't say.
No, the answer is no.
Yeah, my thoughts. I wasn't a huge fan of Victoria from uh her season with Pete.
Mm-hmm.
And then yeah, it did not seem like she's all that interested. It seemed like it was just, yeah, I'll figure out how to get my rose for this week and then play the field next week.
Yeah, and I cannot say that it's not a stressful environment. I mean, I'm sure it is, and it's got to be difficult to remember everything that's going around you. But ultimately, you've got to remember the name of one person that you are supposedly interested in.
You've made
And
out with a couple
other
of times
times,
at this
right?
point,
Like,
too.
come on, you can't remember the guy's name. That's bad. That's really bad. Like, I,
Yeah.
I
There
mean,
there are 24 people here, 25 if you count David Spade,
yes.
and you've you've met some of them before.
Mm-hmm.
So you only have to learn a few names.
Yeah,
I
you've
don't even think there's another J name here, is there?
of the guys. Um, my
Yeah. Oh,
uh,
there's Joe.
yeah, Joe. That's
But she's
correct.
she's not confusing Joe and James.
No, she calls him by names the guys that aren't on the beach. Jordan,
Yeah.
Jeffrey. Yeah,
So
I don't
it
think she
just,
says
oh
Jeffrey,
man,
but yeah,
just awful.
it sets a bad precedent certainly. Um, but their relationship will kind of come to a boiling point too later. Um, the but yeah, the next thing that kind of comes up in the episode is Jasenia and Ivan. They're one on one, right? So
Senya gets the date card and
yep,
takes Ivan along with her.
yeah. So going on to their date, Josh, what did you think? Did you like it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Do you like Jasenia and Ivan together? I know Ivan is probably your boy. Um, I know you're a
Yeah,
big
I
Ivan stan. So tell me,
definitely.
what did you think of the date? Do you like Jasenia and Ivan together? Go on.
Ivan's my boy, and it seems like he and Jasenia vibe pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the date, I mean, was really just sitting at a table
In the
in
water.
a pool. Um,
I,
Not sure if
I'm,
they got like food or anything because it didn't look like they're ever eating. So
I thought that
maybe
was
a little
weird.
bit of a boring date, but good chance to talk. They talk about like kind of Ivan's experience with Tasha and being able to like open up about like racial stuff and like putting that stuff at the
Mm-hmm.
forefront. And Jasenia said that she really admired that. Um, and Ivan said for the most part he got a lot of positive feedback for it,
Yeah.
but Jasenia got a lot of like very negative feedback
Mm-hmm.
um, for the little bit that she did to fight against bullies during her season,
Mm-hmm.
and then kind of just existing, and that really kind of like
Where's on
disgusted
ya?
me. So I'm like, on Bachelor Nation, be better than that. What's wrong with you? You're chasing down somebody to bully them that you saw on TV, which is stupid on its own.
Mm-hmm.
But then beyond that, you're just being racist. Like, come on.
Yeah, I liked their conversation. I really liked parts where I thought that it was like a genuine connection too, especially when you say things like "I feel safe with you." I like. I was very reassured by the direction that their relationship is going, um, based off the
Yeah, and I
conversation
don't
they
think
had.
from watching Ivan,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's really the player type.
Oh,
So I
I'm
think
not getting
if
that vibe
he's if
either.
he's talking to somebody and like giving off signs that he's having a connection with them, I think it's very legitimate and real, and he has interest.
Yeah, and
So I expect this, unless like something crazy happens, that this is a relationship that'll go all the way.
yeah, and they had a conversation that some would consider difficult, and they seem to be on the same page, and they seem to share a lot of similar values based off the conversation they had, and I like them together, and I like the things they talked about, and I want to see more of Jasenia and Ivan personally.
Yeah, and even like the maturity coming out of Ivan
Mm-hmm.
too, to like acknowledge, yeah, like I dealt with a little bit of shit, but I know that it's like it's not the same to what you have to deal with too. Like he's very open, receptive to hearing her point of view and
Mm-hmm.
stuff, not just being like,
Yeah.
well, as a black man, this is what I deal with, and nothing's worse than that.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to hear what she has to say.
He's open to other people's perspectives.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I mean,
that's a
that's
very
that's good.
mature viewpoint to have.
uh, yeah.
So, I mean,
I
more
can't
just
say.
reasons why I love Ivan. So,
Well, yeah. I mean, I think this was like the night and day episode here, where we saw a date that went so incredibly bad, and then we saw a date that went, I thought, really well. So I couldn't really complain about. I really liked watching Ivan and Jasenia's date. I really cringed the entire time I watched Demi and Brendan. So it was good. It was refreshing because the first one did. I was like, oh God, please get me out of this. But yeah, so and I don't really have a whole lot else to kind of talk about with them. I thought it went well. I really liked them together, and they can continue to kind of vibe really well throughout the rest of the episode. I felt like too.
yeah,
But they get back to the beach, and really, this is kind of when the Natasha Brendan comes full circle, right? They start having their conversation, and that's something that I really want to get your opinion on. So, you know, Natasha and Brendan, they're sitting down, they're talking, and Brendan seems very guarded to me in the conversation he's having with Natasha. That's point one. And he shares with Natasha that he's had deeper conversations with her than he's had with Piper, and that he does say, yeah, like we were hanging out a little bit beforehand, but there's no established relationship or anything like that. I got but he seems like he's not telling the truth, is kind of what I'm going to say. Brendan seems sketchy to me in this conversation, and Natasha seems to buy it. Like, I feel like he didn't give her any sort of, like, actual reassurance. He just said, we've had deeper conversations than I've had with her. Well, what does that mean? I don't think that means anything. I just felt very, like...
I mean, I can understand how that would feel like some reassurance. To maybe
it
think
seemed
about
fake.
where you are on, like, a level.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, it could be the edit, too. But I don't think that he was directly asked, are you interested in Piper? Like, it felt like, yeah, he kind of just, like, was kind of able to dodge through the question.
Mm-hmm.
And Natasha was very happy to buy in.
Oh,
I don't know, part of it, too, was just that, like, he's like, okay, yeah, like, that date with Demi was an absolute disaster. I basically knew that.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, I'm still, like, I was planning on coming back to you afterwards.
Yep.
And, like, that just pulled the wool over her eyes.
Well,
But, yeah, I didn't really buy exactly fully what he is saying. Or if that really was all true, I don't think he explained it in the best way.
No, at least not from what was shown. And I feel bad because this is how I see this playing out, Josh, is that I think that he does like Piper, and I think that she's eventually going to get on the beach. And when she does, Natasha's going to be chopped liver. See you never, Natasha. I think that's exactly how that's going to play out.
Yeah.
And I feel like Natasha bought into what he was telling her.
Well.
Yeah, I feel like Natasha bought into what he was telling her way too easily and didn't have... I feel like she needed to be more guarded in that situation because he didn't give her anything of substance in that conversation that I would have felt reassured about, personally.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, okay, we had deeper conversations, but...
What does that mean? What does that mean?
Yeah, and, like... Are you actually opening up to me more than you're willing to open up to her, or is it just that it hasn't happened with you for Piper, and that's why?
I feel I'm very much so like I want Natasha to succeed in this relationship, and she's not going to because Brendan is being insincere. And that is my opinion.
Yeah,
Okay. I'll take that as a
I
yes.
I agree. I was, yeah, I was definitely shocked to just be like, okay, Natasha, this feels like it probably isn't gonna work out for you here.
hmm
Yeah,
Yeah, I feel bad.
she was running with it.
Yeah, maybe somebody else after he leaves her. Maybe there will be somebody else that comes along that she can vibe with. I'm hoping. I mean, she seems fun. She seems nice. She seems sincere, and so I just felt bad. I feel like she's kind of getting like I didn't. I don't feel like Natasha on Pilot Pete's episode, like a season of The Bachelor, wasn't somebody that I vibed super well with. But I think I said this last week too. As time has gone on, I've only liked her significantly more. I feel
Yeah,
like she just continues to be more impressive and like a likable person, a likable character, fun, easygoing, those types of things. So, but
yeah, I think I agree with you.
but yeah, and so the other things that are going on at the beach at the same time, kind of while this conversation is happening, is Kelsey
More
spent
Demi drama.
yeah Kelsey spending more time consoling Demi than she is trying to find a man on the beach. Um, and once again, Kelsey, I'm available. And
I had a good laugh at Demi like crying, "I'm not fucking entitled."
she
It's
just
like, oh man,
is
you don't usually hear
self-destructing.
that out of people that aren't entitled.
I mean, I really feel like I'm just watching her hit the self-destruct button. You know, she's crying on the beach. It's like, man, get over it, right? Like,
Yep. Train wreck. Can't
it.
look away though.
Well, she doesn't seem like the type of person to let somebody like Brendan bother her that much, right? Like, is the
Yeah,
sense
like
of rejection really bothering
Brendan's
you that much?
cool, but yeah,
Like, if
there
you
there
know,
are plenty of other very attractive people on this
yeah,
beach.
and like I can put up a big front too and be confident and everything, and like always, there's everybody has sheds of like self doubt and everything, and I think we're seeing a little bit of that here too, where she
Yeah,
talks a
well,
big game but is letting some random guy that she's never met just be like, hey, like you're cool, but no, thank you.
I
It's bothering her too much.
honestly expected her to be. Excuse me. I expected her to take the approach of, oh, you want to see other people? Okay, I'm gonna go and like hit up everybody else
Mm-hmm.
and like seem like the most desirable person on the beach,
Mm-hmm.
and then have you try to crawl back to me, not
I,
just like
I
sit
don't think
there and
that
grovel and
doesn't sound very
be
healthy
upset.
either. But
Oh no, not
I'm gonna make
necessarily
you
a healthy
jealous.
thing,
I'm gonna make
but
you jealous, and then you're
that
gonna
was the
like me
approach I
only.
expected from Demi.
All right, yeah. We'll see. Anyway, um, we also see a kiss that I was hoping to never have to witness on the television. That was Carl and Deandra. I rated it as at a approximate 0 out of 10. Was horrified to watch this on my screen. I guess that answered a few questions of who Carl might be vibing with too. We haven't seen any
Yeah,
conversation
I,
with them whatsoever. Just them making out on the beach for a brief minute.
Carl's had a few moments where he's been on screen, and it's kind of like he's coming up and talking to people, and people are uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, really had no idea prior to this point
Mm-hmm.
how anything was going for him. Um, I would venture to guess that there probably isn't that much of a real connection there, and Deandra's just like, okay, well, this is the safest bet for Rose at this point,
I
so I'm just gonna take it.
I think we answered the question. Do any of these contestants have low enough self respect that they're willing to kiss Carl for a rose? And the answer was yes. I'm sorry, Deandra. I don't know you. You seem very nice, but I I just can't. I was just horrified to watch
Obviously,
that on my
like
television.
somebody was gonna go after him, but
Were they?
oh,
Obviously.
yeah.
I don't know.
Has somebody ever just like been like, nah, I'm not even gonna play for the Rose?
Yeah, I mean, last season that happened where it was just like, is anybody willing to accept my rose? And they're just like, nah, I'd rather just go home at this point. It's been a long week. So, But yeah, I mean that does happen on Bachelor in Paradise. It's
Okay,
not super
okay.
frequent, but
I'll be
I
open to
mean,
the possibility.
yeah.
But so we did see this moment with Carl and Deandra,
Mhm.
but later at the uh cocktail party,
Mhm.
I believe, he's at a table with 4 women, uh,
All these
making
princesses,
yeah,
like, ugh,
kind of making a move
ugh.
to talk about kind of how he has open play on all of them. It's like,
I
I'm uncomfortable.
didn't like that either. I'm I'm a 0% Carl fan at the moment watching this show. Um, and we get like a quick snippet of Connor and Marissa being cute again too. Like they're just like very flirty, very fun, um, very cute couple. But then it just kind of goes back to Victoria P and James again, right? Like really not a whole
Yep,
lot of,
kind of solidifying their relationship a little bit more,
or just
at least to start.
yeah, and so watching James and Victoria talk initially, I wrote down I was right. No chemistry, 0 out of 10. So I was giving a lot of zeros out apparently this episode, and I did not feel like, and I think part of that too is like you see the earlier part of the episode where she can't remember his name. It's like yeah okay, I don't think that maybe they like each other all that much, or at least she doesn't like him. So, but yeah, very strong 0 out of 10 for me. But that's when another self destruct button just comes flying into the air and lands into Tammy's hands of all people. And she's like, we are going to push this button repeatedly until we blow this shit up. So, we get the Tammy on Victoria P. I don't trust her. She has a secret agenda. Victoria has a secret boyfriend, and he needs to know the truth. Wow, that's a lot to drop in one uh, foul swoop, right? Like, that's a lot.
Wait,
Like, not only does she have a secret boyfriend, but she's been plotting this the entire time to manipulate you to get essentially launched further in her, I guess, career. I don't know. What do any of these people do anymore? So,
well, my understanding of the situation was that Kelsey lives
oh,
in Nashville, where Victoria also lives, and they have some of the same circles. And Kelsey told Tammy, is I believe Tammy was from Buffalo. I don't know
mm-hmm.
where she's located out of now. So I
Pro-
think it was more something that Tammy got from Kelsey and then
mm-hmm.
was running with.
Yep.
Where Kelsey's just like, yeah, this is kind of weird to see her doing this, and Tammy's like, well, the world must know.
Yeah. I mean, leave it to Tammy to blow some shit up. That's all I have to say. So yeah, I mean, we kind of, I'll skip over the I'll come back to the Tammy, Serena, Aaron drama briefly, but let's just kind of get into the James and Victoria P thing because, Tammy gets an opportunity.
Can I start with that one?
Yeah, go ahead.
I wanted to address their questions that they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
So, Lewis, you brush your teeth before or after you have your coffee?
That's what they were talking about, wasn't it? That
was one of their questions.
it was weird.
Kind of just doing like a little 20 questions kind of thing, get to know each other better.
Was that supposed to be flirting? Because it was not good.
Yeah.
Is that why you're asking? So that I can.
The first question. The second question was even worse, I thought.
Okay, first question. My answer is that you brush your teeth after you drink coffee. I think that's like what a normal human does, right? I don't drink coffee very often, but
yeah, I'm not a coffee drinker, at all.
Most of the time, I don't start my day with coffee. I'll drink coffee maybe like 2 or 3 hours into the day. So by that time, I've brushed my teeth, though. Like I'm not a heathen. So
yeah, that's a little different.
All right, what was the next question? I don't remember it.
When you wake up, do you get up and go and pee in the toilet or do you
outside?
pee outside?
That's some Louisiana shit if I've ever heard it. So, I'm all about peeing outside, but I don't leave my house in my neighborhood with families and children to go like swinging it
That's
out.
how you end up on a list.
That's how you end up on a list. I know. That's what I'm saying. So, I mean, I don't know where James is from off the top of my head, but he certainly is probably not from the same type of environment where he can just freely do that. If I lived back out in the country, like where, you know, if I was back home, and I still wouldn't, that's still a lot of effort to go outside and pee. It's one thing if I'm outside
just to crawl over to your bathroom.
Yeah,
maybe you have like a balcony or something.
If
like you have a door to the outside through your bedroom.
Yeah, okay, so here's the deal. If I'm outside and I'm working and I'm like cutting down a tree or doing something on the small farm at home, then and I have to pee, I'm not going to go back inside to pee. But there's also nobody around. But if I'm where I'm at now, no, you pee inside. Like, that's it. I don't know, like, that seemed like there's not a whole lot of opportunities where that seems very realistic. Let's put it that way. So, but
yeah, and Victoria seemed very surprised at the possibility that like
he wanted to pee indoors.
Yeah,
she lives in Nashville now.
Man,
what part of have you been in Nashville? It's
always go outside.
So
yeah, where in Nashville are you doing that?
Yeah, I was like, it's mostly suburban. Like, it's a city and with suburbs around it. There's not like you can just there's not a whole lot of open land. Anyway, yeah.
Like, hey, you're kind of living in a bit of a bubble here, thinking that every guy does that. He gets up in the morning.
Yeah, but let's break it down for what Tammy told James, though, because this is where it gets... She goes, Victoria P has a boyfriend at home. They share a dog together. So, I mean, that's fucking serious, right? Like, you don't just share a dog with anybody. And...
You would hope not.
She was talking with him, like, days prior to leaving for Paradise. And...
Turned into fucked him on Thursday before coming.
She what?
Turned into... Thursday before coming on the show.
Oh, and also, she can't remember your name. She's called you by multiple names that are not James. And I don't know about you, but if somebody told me that, I was like, man, she came locked and loaded, right? Like, she came with all the information you need.
I think the last one was the biggest thing that really struck him, though.
All the rest could be rumors,
like, okay.
Right? But we know for a fact she can't remember his name.
We've seen it, and obviously he has had screw up his name at some point.
Yeah,
he seemed pretty stuck on that one to be like, okay, yeah.
It kind of...
Let's do the math here. This all seems to add up.
Whether it be right or wrong, it kind of reassures you that some of the other information might seem true in your head when somebody tells you this, because it's, you know, oh, they shared with something with me that I know is true, so everything else that they're telling me must also be true. Like, I feel like that's kind of like a normal... like leap that people will make. So will we ever know whether Victoria P truly had a boyfriend at home and whether they share a dog? No, but also kind of yeah like but I like the next scene too, where Victoria P and James are talking and she just continuously goes, you need to calm down. He's like talking like this, like, hey, like, do you have a boyfriend at home? And she's like,
James is very unexcitable.
You need to calm down. It's like you're talking to the person that I have seen that is possibly the most calm ever. He is so calm. Like, he does not seem like anything could move him. And you're telling him, it's like, you need to calm down. So I thought that was absolutely hilarious. But
yeah, and that just made it clear that there's no way that James would possibly go back there at this point.
I think that you couldn't reconcile what was going on after that point, because Victoria P goes and talks to Tammy and Kelsey, and she starts it with, I thank God for therapy, and the conversation is not very productive, right, and
kind of misuses a bunch of the therapy tools that she has.
I thought she was trying to handle it well. I mean, I don't think that was like really handled poorly, but I also think that there are some problems here that need to be, the underlying issue is not being addressed, right? It's like all this surface level stuff, right? Like,
Yeah, she's still not even acknowledging that, like,
I do not have,
situation
yeah,
was going on.
she needs to say, I do not have a boyfriend, I am very single, I am here to try to find love, blah blah blah. Like, none of that stuff was really addressed. And so
It was, how could you tell people about this and
yeah,
not tell me about it?
so
Talk to me about it.
Victoria goes back to James thereafter and just says, you know what, I'm leaving. Like, I think that this is done for me. I want to go home. I'm ready to walk out. And she gets in the van and she says something where I just think to myself, I was like, wait, so is she single or not? Because she makes a comment about how, well, sometimes the thing that you wanted the entire time was back home for you anyway, right? Like, says
Yeah,
something
she's
along the
like,
line.
oh, well, maybe I already have that. And gives a smile to the camera.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, that fake ass bitch.
Well, I'm not gonna call her that, but I.
Oh, I am.
I.
There was no doubt in my mind at the end of this episode.
Yeah, I feel like she lost
She
a lot
was
of
just sitting
credibility.
there playing everybody. Yeah.
But yeah, so and that was kind of the saga with that. But in between that all going on, we get a brief glimpse of the Tammy, Aaron, Serena drama because Serena also feeling kind of under the heat, not really vibing with anybody. She gets a snippet where she goes, I know who I want, and that's Aaron, and I'm going to try to get it. And so Serena steals Aaron. They go to one of the day beds. She starts rapping. I start cringing again, wanting that to end. Does have a very clever line at the end. Yeah, and they start making out for a little bit, and not even 10 minutes later, Tammy comes back and is like, nope, I'm going to win this man. So, Tammy's like, I'm winning this battle. Yep. I refuse to let you have this, yada, yada, yada.
Escalate the situation to some dry humping.
Yep, and as Aaron said, he goes, I'll be honest with you, I can't really get up at the moment, which was hilarious and and a good bit of humor to kind of to end the get a close to the end to the episode before we get to the rose ceremony.
So
go ahead.
With the rose ceremony, I was kind of like, through all this, I was thinking, well, okay, what's the fallout here gonna be from this James and Kelsey?
Yeah, and we see that
James and Kelsey, James and Victoria separation. Like, okay, Tammy was the one who took the most proactive role, so part of me is thinking, like, well, you know, if they end up putting James before Aaron, does James like offer Tammy a rose? Because
I doubt it. That's his boy.
Pointed it out to her. It was a possibility I was considering.
I'm quite certain that James
that would have been like the most chaotic answer, right?
Yeah, that would have been very chaotic. But I'm sure James and Aaron talked about who they were going to give the rose to before the rose ceremony.
Yeah, and I would suspect that they're the most close, like, they have the closest relationship compared to, like, with anybody else there.
Yeah, and I think that we know, like, because at this point we're pretty darn close to the rose ceremony, and we are seeing who's probably going home, and it really comes down to where James's rose is going to go. Excuse me, and to me that seems like it's between Kelsey and Demi, because Demi kind of pulls the Hail Mary. She goes, I'm essentially like, I'm alone. Fuck it, we're going for James. and Kelsey has a conversation with James where she's like, well, we'll just call it the Kelsey Rose this week. And those are kind of the last conversations leading up to the rose ceremony. And of course, Demi makes out with James. But
I mean, Demi being an explosion herself is chasing another explosion.
Yep.
With Victoria leaving, she's just like, okay, this place is already destroyed. Nothing to lose. Go for it.
I've already tried to burn this place to the ground. I may as well just light the match, right?
Oh yeah, I think she threatened some arson there.
So, um, yeah, and that's kind of all that I've got leading into the actual roast ceremony. Josh, is that kind of all that you've got, or are there any things you want to touch about before I kind of get into that?
Um, yeah, I think that's most of what we got. I
Mm-hmm.
was laughing because Victoria L went over
Mm-hmm.
and tried to pull one on
Oh, Tajwan.
Trey,
Yeah,
and yeah, and I'm just like, oh, there's a 0% chance
I
that
know.
Trey would choose Victoria over Tajwan, especially at this point.
Yeah, I felt
But
like if Victoria L was committed to trying to stay, she needed to get the rose from Carl.
and
Uh,
she had her own meltdown.
yeah,
Yeah, and honestly, like based on what we saw, it looked like she didn't really put in that much effort to trying to get someone to talk to her at
no,
all. So
I mean, I don't
I
know
don't
that.
know exactly what happened, of course, but I think she also just expected to have the men like following her around
Yeah,
the entire time.
Victoria and Tajwan's fight was like very unimpressive to me. So I was like, yeah, they got in a little bit of an argument, and then it just kind of ended, and that was it. And then Tajwan said, "Well, it doesn't really matter. She's not going to be here tomorrow," and
Right.
which is a little harsh, but I mean, very true. And I am a Tajwan stan. I love what she's bringing to the table at all points during Bachelor in Paradise this season. So I want to see more, as always. But we get
Yeah,
to
she's someone I've learned to like here, having not met before. So
so so so Josh. Let's get into the rose ceremony, shall we?
yeah,
Okay.
let's do it.
So Ivan's up first. Ivan undoubtedly gives his rose to Jasenia, and I went ahead and I ranked all of the couples on a scale of 0 to 10. So I'm going to ask you
Okay.
what your rank is from 0 to 10, 10 being best of the couple, and then I'll tell you what I wrote down. So you haven't had time to think about this, and I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah, yeah. I
But
do have all the relationships written down
yep.
because I made sure that I got who
So
gave who the rose.
so Ivan and Jasenia, what would you give them?
So I'm trying to think how hyperbolic are you being here?
I
You just
kind
like
of there um there aren't a whole lot of really high scores. It's more like, okay, if I put this person at this score, then this couple is clearly at that score, right? So like I set a
okay,
standard in my head
okay,
and said, okay, well, were they better or worse than this? Like kind of Ivan and Jasenia started as the bar because they were the first couple, and then
sure.
everybody else fell either above or below that. So
So I'll start Ivan and Jasenia off with an 8.
okay, I put them at a 7.5. So I think
Okay,
that's
that's kind of where I
close.
was
Yeah.
thinking.
So that's good. I think that's fair. I like Ivan and Jasenia. They're either a 7.5 by the Han factor, or 8 by Tasty Kebab. Next up was Noah, and Noah gives his rose to Abigail. Not a surprise there either. Was it a surprise for you?
No, no, no. I don't think that there were any surprises throughout the entirety of the rose ceremony.
Until
The
maybe
only
the
one
very
in
last one.
question was James's.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So,
all these were things that we predicted.
yeah. So,
We got confirmation that Carl was in fact going for Deandra too,
yep.
which we'll get to. But
And so, Josh, what do you rate Noah and Abigail's relationship? So keep in mind you
um
gave Ivan and Jasenia an 8.
yeah, I'll give him a 5.5.
That is the exact number I gave them too. So, yep. So we're on the same page. I don't have a whole lot of faith in this relationship going the distance, but they're at least cute and fun to watch for right now. Really was unimpressed with their one-on-one date last week, but we've already kind of talked about that. So,
Yep.
next up was Joe, and once again, no surprises. Joe gives his rose to Serena P. And so, Josh, what do you give that relationship?
Um I'll give it a 6, but it's a very soft 6.
Like, you think it should be lower or higher than that if you were to
Uh
be pushed?
like I think that they have some chemistry, but I don't have high hopes for future prospects.
Oh, we are not on the same page. I gave Joe and Serena P an 8.5. So I think that they have a shot. So I like the. I mean, there's a bit of an age gap there, but I think they've got more chemistry than maybe you give them credit for. So we'll see. But we're not on the same page with that one. Connor and Marissa are up next, Josh. Where would you put them?
I feel like we haven't really seen a ton out of them yet.
Mm-hmm.
So I was really just defaulting kind of to a 5 here.
Okay, I gave him a 6.
Not really knowing much.
Yeah.
Like, I don't dislike them at all, but no, wait and see.
I think that's fair. I think that like I said, they're not like the strongest couple in my mind, but they're definitely not the weakest either. But Trey comes up next, and Trey undoubtedly gives his rose to Tajwan. Where would you put them?
I think I'd go with the 7.5 for Trey and Taj.
Okay, and I was close with that too. I gave them a 7. So this is the one time. So you seem to overshoot them a little bit, except for Joe and Serena P. But you'll be forgiven for your sins there.
Well, and Connor and Marissa.
Yeah, you were below. Okay, so we're not like too horribly far off here.
No, we're about averaging in the same spot.
I am really interested to get your next one though, because your next one is Carl and Deandra.
What's the lowest score I can give?
A 0.
We'll go 0.
All right, I gave him a 0 too. I think as soon as another guy hits the beach that is like remotely interested in Deandra, that she's see you later, Carl.
Will jump ship.
Bye.
Oh, yeah.
So I have not a whole lot of faith in that one. Next one, I think that I'm interested to see where you get with this one, because I think this one is debatable. It was Brendan and Natasha.
I believe you already said that you gave them a 0, correct?
I did not get. No, I gave Carl and Deandra a 0.
Okay,
Certainly,
I thought you were saying earlier you were passing out zeros and.
Deandra and Carl's kiss was a 0, and the chemistry between James and Victoria P was a 0. But we also, yeah, saw how that worked out the rest of the episode.
I'm not gonna kill this off completely yet.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll go with like a 1.5 here.
Oh, I gave him a 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're much more hopeful.
You have. I wouldn't say I'm hopeful. I don't think it's not a strong 5 by any means, but like I like them together about double the amount that I like Carl and Deandra together. So.
Well, that's actually infinitely more.
That's true, and that is the case with everybody. So I don't feel like I lied to you still. So. Aaron and Tammy, Josh.
Aaron and Tammy, I'll drop down to a 1.
Oh, really? Crap. Wow, you really lost faith here at the end. I gave them a 5.5.
Lost faith? Ooh.
Yeah. I think this is your secret, like, you're perseverating Tammy and Aaron not working out so that maybe one day you can swoop in and fall in love with Tammy. Is this accurate, Josh?
Maybe
okay.
I'm projecting.
Yeah, you're projecting here. You're not really giving that a fair shot, so...
Yeah, it just seems like they're kindling and gasoline.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just gonna take a spark
and explode. Like it's not like a bonfire that you're like slowly building up and making something beautiful.
Yeah.
You're literally like just hitting flint against open flames and just watching shit fly. So, but okay. Kenny and Mari.
I'm gonna go higher on this one.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of comparing it to some of these other ones. I'm gonna go with solid 4.
A 4. I gave them a 6.5. So.
Really, you have more faith in Kenny and Mari than you do Noah and Abigail.
Yeah, I think so.
Because I know the issues we discussed with them, but I think they still make a much better couple than a lot of these.
Kenny and Mari have much better natural chemistry than Abigail and Noah do. I don't think Abigail and Noah have any like actual chemistry at all.
Mm-hmm.
I think I would rate him lower than a 5.5 if I could go back. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. Right before the last rose is given out by James, Kelsey kind of has a moment where she's like, sits down, I need water. Demi then talks about how that's a load of bullshit and Kelsey's fine and blah, 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 and you can't bullshit a bullshitter, which I thought was kind of shitty because Kelsey literally spent half the episode consoling her on her date with Brendan going so poorly, right?
And she outs herself as a bullshitter.
Yeah, well, that's fine. I mean, we all know that, but I mean...
We all know it, but yeah, just...
I think that's like...
I don't know how at that point she can even try to pretend that she's, like, innocent and getting screwed over by others.
Oh, I don't think she is trying to pretend to be innocent. I think that she's being... I think Demi was very genuine. She's like, I just want the rose. But I thought it was kind of shameful to talk so negatively about Kelsey, who is your friend, who literally sat there and consoled you. They showed multiple clips of her sitting next to her while she was crying about Brendan, essentially.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I was like...
She's talking about how she said Kelsey looks desperate as fuck right now. Like, going and talking to James after it.
Yeah, and you don't.
Like, you literally did the same thing.
I know.
You also got rejected already by somebody where this is kind of like her first genuine approach to somebody.
Yeah, I felt bad.
And she wasn't even, like, bullshitting him about, like...
No.
Oh, yeah, let's see what happens. It was just like... Yeah, we'll be friends for now, and, like, if something works out, cool, but I'm not gonna pretend that, like, we're romantically interested.
Yeah, I mean, if Kelsey had made out with James, then she probably would have gotten his rose. But, spoiler alert, it goes to Demi. So, yeah, I just was kind of, like, disappointed. I was like, well, you know, she kind of helped you out this episode, and then you just kind of, like, yeah. I mean, whether it's real or not, I mean, just try to be a supportive friend. But, yeah, so
you're rating for James and Demi?
A 2 is what I gave them.
A 2?
So,
okay.
Yep, the only person that they were above was Carl and Deandra.
Yep, I think I was going to go with a 1 as well.
Okay, that sounds good.
Same level as Aaron and Tammy.
Mm-hmm. And
like, who knows? Could work out, but not likely.
You know, and that leaves us with our women that are leaving tonight. You know, we lost Victoria P earlier in the episode. Victoria Goddess Victoria left. Kelsey and Serena C. Those 4 went home. You know, they say don't let the door hit you on the way out, and Victoria L didn't quite follow that because when she tried to close the door, it like literally hit her in the ass and bounced back open. And really not a whole lot else to say about them going home. They really just didn't make a connection out there, and that was it.
If you look at our list that we...
I think that's exactly what we said, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So...
That's who we had.
Yeah, can't say that I'm surprised. Josh, you don't seem surprised. I think that the best part of the episode was David Spade riding in the back of the SUV, pretending like he was an eliminated contestant. And he had some great one-liners there, too. So...
He did.
I hope that they would consider bringing him back for someone... Just to kind of talk about this briefly, because we had mentioned this, it's like, I didn't really like Tayshia and Caitlyn as hosts, but I had difficulty taking the stance of it was their fault, because I felt like they weren't really being set up for success. But David Spade also did not seem like he was particularly set up for success and did really well with it, but he also has been in the business for decades longer, so I don't know really what to make of it, but David Spade's a yes for me. Bachelor Nation, if you want to bring him back for another season of Bachelor in Paradise, I'd be happy to watch it. If you want to make him the host of The Bachelor, I mean, shit, come on, I'm ready for it. So, but yeah, I mean...
I'm not sure if they're treating this kind of as, like, auditions for everybody to come on, or if it's literally just, like, paychecks to all of them.
I think they just needed people.
And then that'll draw attention.
Yep.
Yeah, he did a decent job. Like, I enjoyed his presence, but it felt weird there wasn't really that much continuity through what we saw, and then there won't be any going forward. Like, my God, they didn't even let him do the rose ceremony. It was just Wells kind of took over for the
That's
end.
true. He left before that.
He bowed out at the beginning of the cocktail party.
He said,
right?
"All right, I'm getting out of here. See you later." So, I mean, I'm sure that they tried to. It seems more like they were trying to work around the schedules of the guest hosts than they were anything else, and they were just like, "Well, we can throw Wells in there wherever we need him to kind of fill in." So we'll
he
see.
might be the big winner of all this, since he'll actually have continuity, being able to talk to everybody over the course of the season.
Yeah, I think Wells is doing fine. I mean, if they want to kind of move him into a more of a hosting role, I think that would be good. I think he'd be a good person for it. I think
he
that
seems like he has some personality.
Yeah, and I kind of like the idea of having a rotating host moving forward too, just for the Bachelor and Bachelorette. I don't think they'll do that, but I like the idea of it. Josh, do you have any closing remarks though for the episode?
No, I don't think so. It looks like we've got Lance Bass next week.
Yep, love him. Bring him on.
So it'll be interesting to see how that goes.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously a childhood favorite.
Yeah. I wonder if they're gonna hit him with the bye on the way out.
We know that they're gonna introduce a few more men here.
Mm-hmm. Thomas is coming.
Excited to see where that goes. See the ripple effects of all that.
I think they did a very good job of introducing people when they're choosing to introduce them, because I think this is going to cause some drama and spice things up, if you will. So
absolutely.
I'm interested to see how this works out. So we will just have to see. But yeah, anyway, I mean, Josh, that was the episode. I don't have a whole lot else to add unless you have other questions.
No, I think I'm all good right now.
It was a good episode.
Was a pretty entertaining episode, yeah. So, we've got 2 episodes a week for at least this week and next week.
Yeah, we'll have to figure out when we're filming the next one.
Goes.
So, but all right. Well, anyway, guys, this was Bash Bros Live. If you like it, then go ahead and follow, subscribe if you can. If not, that's fine too. Thank you, Josh, for being here as always. And as always, I was the Han Factor, and we will sign off now. We will see you guys later. Bye now.